I'm an author, a VTuber, and I stream weekly on Twitch. Oh, and you may notice I look a little bit different today. It's because my costume is done. Yes, yes! Are you ready to see it? Are you ready to see it completely? Ready? 1, 2, 3! Boom. Oh, isn't it awesome? Isn't it awesome? Oh, I am so in love with it. Let me just turn around. Let me show you everything. Here we go. As you can see, I've got my hair all tied up there. And you can see my amazing gloves. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? My cape from the back. Isn't that awesome? It goes right over the shoulders. And then I've got this wonderful dress back here with the animo. Isn't it awesome? Isn't it awesome? Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, I'm a little bit high. Oh, isn't it wonderful though? Now, some of you may be wondering who I am. I am dressed like the acting Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius in Mondstadt from the game Genshin Impact. I love this so much. Oh, I've got the different hairstyle, which I've got to admit, I'm not certain if I like. Oh, I look awesome with my hair up, but it's just so weird. It's so weird. Oh, let me know. Let me know what if you guys like it. Okay? Okay? Oh, it's so weird. Oh, the rest of the outfit is so gorgeous though. What do you think? What do you think? Does it look like her? Does it look like her? I hope so. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I so love it. Oh. Let me just move a little bit closer here. Oh, I love this outfit. Oh, I've worked so hard on it. So hard on it. All of the colors and making certain that everything works. Oh. So excited. Oh, I love it. If you want to see it more, come and join me on stream. I just don't want to stop moving. I can see my hair in the back. So weird. So weird. Oh, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Okay, so last week on the read-along, we saw the world from Miss Sashi's POV. She'd found a dead body outside Edan and realized that things might be a bit more dangerous outside town than they normally were. On with the story. Let me just pull up the book. Awesome. Sweat dripped down Kazunaha's back under her light leather armor. Or at least, it was supposed to be light. After a day of wearing the stuff, her opinion differed. She shook her head and took another breath and tried to hold her arms straight. They shook, and she took another deep breath, but they didn't stop. She lowered the crossbow. "How do people do this?" she complained, resetting her feet on the uneven ground. They'd left the city that morning, full of hope for this trip. Now, having walked the entire day, all Kazunaha wanted to do was sit down and relax, and maybe have Maya run a bath. Richard laughed. He was sitting down, 10 or so feet behind her, stirring a pot. She'd never been so envious of someone doing a menial chore before in her life. With effort, she ignored Richard and stretched, seeing just how high she could go. "You're done?" Richard said. His tone implied, "Already?" which she found annoying. She shook her head, not ready to give up. "I'm stretching. Then I'll try again." "Well, don't take too long. You don't want to lose any bolts if you can help it. In this light, you'd never find them again, and we do have a limited amount." The forest around them was mostly green this time of year, and while they found a good-sized clearing near the cliffs, if one of her bolts flew the 40 feet to the trees, she'd have trouble finding it among the tall grasses and detritus. But, not because of the light. It would be another hour, perhaps more, before it got that dark. It isn't that dark yet," she pointed out. "Maybe to you." "And we have 30 bolts. That's plenty, even if we lose one or two," she reminded him, wincing as she raised the crossbow to her shoulder again. Her arms were burning, but at least she could aim now. What hadn't started hurting from their travels had begun hurting with the crossbow training. She would need to stretch again before bed. If she went to sleep with her muscles like this, she wouldn't be able to move tomorrow morning. "It depends how many attackers there are." He mixed the pot again and didn't look at her. "I'd still feel a lot more comfortable if you'd run." Snarling, she shot at the dummy Richard had created for her, out of leaves, a spare gunny sack, and some sponge carapace. The crossbow did most of the work, but she still hurt too much to aim well. The bolt went through the dummy's leg instead of its chest, and made an unholy crack as it snapped. She ground her teeth and huffed out a breath. "I won't leave you. I'm not Craven." "If you feel that way, we'll keep up with training. Tomorrow, though. This is ready, and I believe your hour is up." She put the crossbow down on her log seat gratefully and walked over to the dummy. As she separated the sponges from the leaves, she noticed that she'd been better near the beginning of the hour. None of her latest shots had gotten near the muddy bullseye he'd drawn on the chest. Peeking out from the leg, a stone was shattered. Bits of the quarrel were scattered around it. Nothing was going to be salvageable from that one. She swore and left the remains where they were, lifting her hands to check the sun. It had fallen another finger. Sitting, she took out the bottle of wax Harold had included with the crossbow, and waxed the string, the only thing she'd been able to get without Jack's help. She used the last rays of the sun to ensure that it hadn't gotten dirt in it, and then repacked the weapon and the remaining ammunition into her bag. Most weapons didn't work when needed because they were badly kept. She refused to put them in danger because she couldn't take care of hers. "The weapon still good?" Richard asked. He had a bowl of the thick stew he had made and filled one for her. It hadn't smelled appetizing while it cooked and was now a lurid, greasy brown. He handed her a bowl and she shrugged. It was road food, and all she would be getting. "The weapon is fine, but I destroyed a quarrel on a rock we missed." Richard grunted, swallowing a spoonful of the stew. Hand me the target." She ate a spoonful and made a face. It was good, but bland. It didn't have much meat in it either. Still, it was food, and her stomach grumbled for more. She passed Richard the target. Yeah. "Do not shoot at anyone I'm engaged with in combat," he finally said. "I'm not that bad." "When was your first time shooting this thing?" She stuck her spoon into the bowl and mixed it around. The wind was starting to pick up, even with the tree cover around them. She shuffled her seat closer to the fire. "I practiced with it a few times before we left." She had preferred fighting with the bladed weapons, perhaps because she had finally stopped seeing faces when she practiced. Richard looked at the bag again and set it beside him. "Not as bad as I thought, then. The rule about not shooting anything near me still applies, though. You're as likely to hit me as you are to hit the target. That will change, but until it does, I'd rather not get shot again." "How is it, your wound?" Richard touched his side. "It's mostly fine now. It's a stretchy kind of hurt, mostly. and I do still get tired if I do too much. How about you?" She frowned. "I wasn't hurt." Richard gestured. She realized she was massaging her calf. She stopped and took another thick spoonful of the stew. The wind died and the thick scent filled her nose, and she wolfed down the next bite. It smelled better the longer it sat, apparently. He sighed and reached into his bag. He took out a large metal container and set it on the ground on top of the dummy. The firelight flickered against it, but the tin was old and it was covered with scratches and dings. She frowned. "Finish eating, and then we'll sit for a few more minutes with the fire," Richard said, picking up his stew again. "When it goes down enough, we'll get you into the tent and I'll massage this into your muscles." "I'm fine," she protested. Richard shook his head. "I'll admit that I expected less of you when we first set out." He pointed at her with his empty spoon before using it to scoop more of the stew into his bowl. "But I'm used to this sort of travel, and despite our taking it easy, I can see you're hurting. If I don't use some of this on you, then you're going to be stiff or worse by morning. We need to be ready to go soon after breakfast. This will help." "What about you?" she said, eating another bite. The forest was darkening around her, but she felt completely at peace. There had been no indications that there were monsters nearby, and while the hunters usually kept the area within a day's travel clear, there was always the possibility that some were lurking. With their safety for the night covered, she could relax a bit. She was really looking forward to seeing the moon rise above the trees soon. The moon always seemed bigger when she viewed it from outside the town's constricting walls. She scraped the bottom of the bowl, realizing that it was nearly empty. Richard poured her another helping without her asking. She gave him a dirty look, but there was no heat behind it. She was starved, even though she didn't remember feeling hungry when she sat down. "You'll be extra hungry for the first couple of days. When you get used to eating more, I'll stop. And if you want to return the favor for me afterward, I wouldn't argue." She nodded and ate, thinking about Richard rubbing his hands over her, and then her returning the favor. She bit her lip. The tent would certainly be warm. She shook her head. Partners and nothing more, until they finished this trip. She glanced at Richard, and then realized that he'd been speaking. "Sorry, what was that last part again?" "I was wondering what your sister will say when we get back." She mumbled, shoving a full spoon into her mouth. "She'll have realized that I left already." "Well, of course. You went to go see her, didn't you?" "Not exactly." Richard gave her a look that suggested she continue. She grinned. "I had Maya deliver her a note. She wouldn't deign to open it until after she finished working, and I suggested that Deckard would be able to answer any questions she may have had about my whereabouts." Richard chuckled. "In that case, it might be better if we can be up and away before dawn." Okay, and that's it. Let me put the book down. Here we go. Perfect. Oh, now this is the Kazunoha being the chaos that she always is. Oh, this is the sort of thing that I feel is just the base of her character. She can really only be serious and quiet for a little while before she essentially has to act out. It's one of the reasons I like her so much. That is the one part of myself I do see in this character. Otherwise, I'm not really much like Kazunoha at all. But that's it for this week. Make sure you stop by for the chapter next week. I will be talking about something near and dear to my heart. As I always say, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. And if you want to make me the happiest Vtuber in the world, you can share the video or subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. I'll see you all next week.